century, they covered up the front of both of these and turned it into like a giant modernist cube. This is like a post-war thing. But they didn't like destroy the facade when they did that. They just put a shell over the entire thing. This was a hotel, and at some point they just closed it up. So it's pretty well preserved. Like this is obviously the space that's most exciting because it just hasn't been messed with. Like you would expect all this stuff to be taken out at some point. And the guy that I bought the building from said that at some point somebody came up here and offered him 20 grand for all the doors and the hinges and the millwork. Unfortunately, he said no. So it's a bunch of single hotel rooms around a central corridor. Probably like the bathroom would have been in the center. And then you can see there would have been like coal stoves right here and then in each of the rooms. So this definitely needs to be a hotel again. But the amount of work it'll take to do it right, people kind of expect hotel rooms to have bathrooms. Yeah, this one for some reason got a drop ceiling. But yeah, just like super inspiring spaces. The like curved plaster walls, you kind of want to preserve that, fix the plaster. The fact that the skylights are still intact is crazy because usually they fail and they leak, which I'm sure they did. But then usually people would just take them out and like board them up. And even these rooms on the side where they boarded up the windows are still intact, which means you could restore the wood, double hung windows. And it's still got these like East Lake hinges, which are crazy. And then these like gilded room numbers. Just such cool details. You can imagine this hallway with like art hung in it. And toward the back you get to some of the scarier stuff. Like at some point they moved the central electrical line indoors. So instead of it coming to a panel, it comes inside, and the back entrance is blocked up, which you would need. That's the way to the roof. Spent a fair bit of time on the roof trying to get it to not leak until I can replace it. But yeah, super cool space. And the thing will do last after literally everything else is done.
You haven't even officially closed on this yet?
No.
Yeah.
It's been a work. Like the guy that I'm buying it from, his dad had a furniture store in the building. So it's not just a piece of property. It's something he like grew up in, and wants to see done right by, which is cool.
What's up? What's going on in here?
You know that scene in many commercials where the idiot husband is trying to do something handy? It's basically every moment in this building.
So this feels like the continuation of what we're doing down the street at Bully for You. Mm-hmm. We're not yet sure that when we get fully up and going whether it'll still be called Bully for You or whether it'll be called something else to encompass other stuff we want to add. Like we really want to do clothes and basically make it a vintage department store. Mm-hmm. A weird sort of mix of new and used and different product categories. So
Storm Cellar Deluxe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. We're gonna start it off as basically like the Bully for You warehouse sale. So all of this furniture that we would be moving into Bully For You over time. We'll give people a crack at it all at once. And I think we're going to do that on December 7th, which is Colfax's Winterfest. Santiago spent like 2 months on these floors, getting these going. And this was like a department store, so it's a perfect fit for what we're doing. This like mezzanine space really lends itself to, you could have like clothes under the mezzanine or books or whatever. This is what 7,000 pounds of furniture looks like. Part of the reason this building is such an answer to prayer is that when you're doing furniture, really, the minimum scale that makes sense is like a 50-foot container. It's really hard to make furniture work at a scale smaller than that. Mm-hmm. And I've never had a place where I could order a 50-foot truckload and unload it. So I think we'll partition off part of this space for like a permanent receiving area. And then we'll just, if we receive a truckload, we'll like close and clear everything out and then reopen when it's... So Santiago took up the floor up here as well, trying to figure out if we should refinish the wood floors. Because in some places they look really good. You can already see it.
Right.
And it's like just flaking off. Yeah. But in other places where they patched something in, and I actually think the metal, people don't really do the tin patch thing anymore. I think that looks pretty cool. Yeah. And the mezzanine's also sagging dramatically in a way that it feels like it's been structurally undermined. Like when you stand over here, you feel like, oh, wow. So that's probably going to take some investigation. Like it feels like they hung the mezzanine from the middle level, and then at some point they just removed a bunch of these. So you've got these potentially holding up the mezzanine, and then this one they just cut it off. People be making choices. There's also no working bathroom. That bathroom is for sure not ready for prime time. And the freight elevator also doesn't work. And you can see in this space, the roof must have been leaking and it compromised this wall, which I'm sure is load bearing. So they took all the plaster off of it. And this rectangle right here must have been a giant skylight. But I'm hoping that these windows are under here as they are on the other side. Because they're cinder blocked over on the outside. But if the windows are still present, that'd be super cool. So we definitely want to open up this front area and maybe eventually put a cafe in the front so people can, every good department store needs a cafe. You have the hotel on the other side, and then this was a department store. In the middle, there was a fraternal hall. So there would have been separate stairs up from the street, and then it's the, American Order of United Workers is what this was. Another skylight that bit the dust. And then this would have been like the locker room where they kept the lodge paraphernalia. And this would have been the lodge hall, like the meeting hall space. Super cool. Yeah, and what's great is that we can do it in phases, so we can open something downstairs while we're still working on this upstairs space, and then once this is cool, you roll that out and you've got a bigger store without having to move or close or anything. I love that these these doors are massive, but then they have transoms, and then there's another transom on top of the transoms. That's like the fanciest thing.
Is that like a sign of wealth, is how many transoms you have on each doorway?
I mean, it's at the very least, it's a sign of tall ceilings.